Hi, my name's Caitlin, I read a lot, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, and several things have happened since I have last sit down and spoken to you properly. Let's get into it because the end of 2020 is approaching and I've consumed a lot of things because of quarantine, because I procrastinate a lot. This video will specifically focus on favorite things that are not books. My favorite books of 2020 will be coming later this month. I don't know if I will get questions about this because it was in my last video, but yes, my hair is red. And also, I have no braces. Just like a mini life update, I'll be getting my wisdom teeth like this side. I think 2 of my wisdom teeth on this side out next week. Plus I'll be getting my retainers. So that's gonna be fun. Okay, we're gonna start with TV shows because this year was probably the year that I watched the most TV shows than I have in comparison to other years. Now, I will make a disclaimer that I'm very, very slow at watching TV shows. Like, I will binge a lot at the beginning and then I will watch an episode that I didn't really like as much and then I'll stop for a really, really long time and then I'll come back to it later on. That's why some of these shows I haven't finished, some of them I have. The first show that I have on the list, I don't think they're in any particular order. So the first show that I want to talk about is Umbrella Academy. Now, I actually watched the first season when it initially came out. Absolutely loved it, and I was so excited to watch the next season of it, and boy, did it deliver! Oh my goodness, I loved it so much. There are no words. The story arc of season 1 was better, but the character development that we got from season 2 was superior. I think I would rate this one probably 4.5 out of 5. Klaus is my favorite character. So the next show that I watched / really enjoyed was A Sex Education season 2. I loved the first season so much, and I was again so excited for the second season. Unfortunately, it didn't deliver as much as the first one did. I didn't like what the writers were doing with the characters as much because yes and no. Okay. Hear me out. They were very real. They felt like real teenagers and they were making real teenager mistakes. And as a teenager myself, and also as someone I'm 19, so as someone who has just kind of finished my teenage years, I was just screaming at the screen no, you're so stupid, why are you doing that? That's why I deducted some marks from it, because I was just so annoyed at them for making stupid teenager mistakes. But props to the writers for making them real and for making them seem like legitimate teenagers and not 30-year-olds trying to be a teenager, if you know what I mean. The humor was still on point. I really love the humor of it. It's not a show for everyone, I will admit. Of course, it is relatively inappropriate. The show is literally called Sex Education. But if you're probably under the age of 16, 15, probably don't watch it, or at least make sure you read what it's about and be aware of the themes that will be addressed in it before you watch it. Sex Education, my favorite character is Maeve. Next on the list is, I rewatched this. This is a rewatch, but it was also first time sort of finishing it, rewatching it since I was a kid, so I didn't remember it as vividly, and it is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Everyone has been talking about this because it just came onto Netflix. I watched it as a kid, so I have seen at least the first 2 seasons, but I think I stopped seeing it on TV, so I just wasn't able to finish off the show. And then rewatching it again, oh my goodness, I'm just like remembering just how amazing this entire world was. 5 out of 5, straight up. If you didn't know, I'm writing a book, and in my book I have the basis of like 4 elements in my book, and it's quite an integral part to my story and my character and everything to do with it. And a huge part of that inspiration is because of Avatar. I remember watching the show, and then I remember seeing the movie, and yeah, like that show's so important to me, and so important to me as a writer, because it's one of the most rich fantasy worlds I've ever seen. And also like Asian representation, like I'm pretty sure there's almost only Asian characters on that show, if I'm not mistaken. And just the storytelling, the writing, the characters, the music even. It wasn't until I think the last season where I really paid attention to the music, because that was when I was doing my exams and I was listening to some of the soundtrack. It's kind of lo-fi music but inspired by Atla, and it was so good. Especially what was the Agnikai scene. Sorry, it hits different. Also, I will say that I ship Zutara. What that says about me, keep it to yourself. I'm fine with Katara and Aang, but I just think that Zuko and Katara had a lot there. They had a lot there, and I love Zuko. I will be naming a pet after him when I get one. This was a binge watch, a complete binge watch that everyone on TikTok was talking about, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll check that out. I checked it out, and it changed my life. Julian the Phantoms, I have been screaming about this show ever since I watched it. It was amazing. The soundtrack is the soundtrack to my life, and I got my Spotify Wrapped, and like a couple of the songs managed to make its way up to like the top 10. So just putting it out there that the soundtrack slaps, the characters slap. They're so three-dimensional. For there's like 8-9 episodes. They're so three-dimensional. The writing, the storyline, the outfits, some of them, just oh my gosh, everything. The choreography, Kenny Ortega delivered so much with everything on this. Like, oh my god, that man, I love him. He is the creator of my childhood. He shaped it, and he is shaping my adulthood, and props to him. I love him. Sorry, I just got really passionate about that. Julian the Phantoms, my favorite character is Luke. Gosh, I'm like on a high after talking about Julian the Phantoms. I love it so much. Please watch it. It's also a Netflix original. Next is Criminal Minds. I love the show. When I was a kid, I used to watch it on TV, but it was the second show that kind of had cops in it that I really enjoyed. So the first show was NCIS, which is the first cop show I was like kind of exposed to, which I really enjoyed. And then it was Criminal Minds, and I really liked I was literally 10 years old. I shouldn't have been watching that show, but I really liked the idea of like getting into the serial killer's head, like, and understanding how it worked and how they ended up like that. Even as a kid, this type of stuff intrigued me. It says a lot about how I am now. And now, however many years later, I still love this show to bits, and I'm actually finally watching it properly in order. I think I'm in I want to say season 10, I think. It's 5 out of 5 show. My favorite character is Spencer, obviously, but literally any of them can step on me. I really, really loved Emily, so Criminal Minds, highly recommend, 5 out of 5. Yeah, it's beautiful. There's not much else to say. The next show, this one I actually only recently started watching. I don't know if I got recommended it or if I just saw it, but I heard someone say that it was created by the same people as Avatar, so I was like, of course, I'm going to like it. So I decided to start watching it, and I've nearly finished season 1, and that is The Dragon Prince. Really loving it. It's so cute, and the voice, the main actor is the voice of Sokka from Atla, and just hearing his voice again and hearing more of his voice is just like, it's so nice. I love it. The show's really cute, and the animation is really good as well. It's beautiful. I don't know if I personally prefer it over Atla, but it's set in a very fantastical world, and it's got dragons in it, and I love dragons, and it's very cool. Favorite character, probably Callum so far. He just gives me the best vibes, like the best soft boy, but like he's a literal mage vibes. That's so cool. I want to be a mage. Can't wait to continue watching that and spending all my time on Tumblr crying over them. Not like I don't do it already enough with all other characters. Ew. The next show, or the last show on this list, is The Legend of Korra. So this, actually, I haven't fully finished watching it, and it's actually my first time watching it as well, because I never saw it on TV when I was a kid, or maybe I saw it and just missed it. I really actually enjoyed season 1. A lot of people give season 1 a lot of crap, but I felt like every time I watched it, it was like I was getting like a full immersed experience. It may have not been as well fleshed out as I would have liked, but it was still so enjoyable to watch each episode. It was very fast-paced, but because of that, it meant that I just never got bored. So I really liked season 1. I just started season 2, so I can't speak for the entire series. But yeah, Korra as a character, she's really cool. I really like her a lot. But my favorite character is probably Mako. Maybe I'm just a simp, but that's okay. It's okay. We all simp for cartoon characters. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, I forgot that this came out this year, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 6, which is my all-time favorite show, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but obviously that got a 5 out of 5. I am still patiently waiting for season 7, because it's literally like season 8 or something now, and I still haven't watched season 7 because I cannot find it anywhere, and it's quite annoying. And also, The Good Place finished off this year. The final episode was on January, early January, so that was amazing. That's a 5 out of 5 as well. The Good Place is also one of those shows that it messes with your head, but in such a good way, and it's so beautiful, and it parallels to real life and makes a commentary on humanity and society. It's everything good in a show, and it's only 4 seasons, such an easy binge. I'm more of a movie person, but even then, this year, I didn't watch that many movies. My favorite movies of this year was Enola Holmes, 5 out of 5, and I am now illegally simping over Louis Partridge. It's so bad. This kid is literally a kid. He's 17. It's illegal for him to look like that, and for me to simp. So we're gonna move on. Next was Onward, which is a new Disney Pixar movie, and it has Tom Holland and Chris Pratt in it, and it was amazing. It made me cry a lot. It's on Disney Plus. Highly recommend it. This one had Sabrina Carpenter and Jordan Fisher, and it was so cute. Oh my gosh. I'm also a simp for Jordan Fisher. His TikToks, his dancing TikToks. If you are having a bad day, or if you want to be reminded that your man will never be Jordan Fisher, then you should check out Jordan Fisher's TikToks. Because that is a blessing. That is a blessing of a man. That is a blessing of a man. I won't say that. Really hope my family doesn't watch this. The next movie that kind of overtook my life was Hamilton, the Hamill film, if you will, on Disney Plus. But yeah, it was amazing. I really want to watch it when it comes to Australia next year. And then the next movie, or the final movie on the list, was Call Me By Your Name. And it was so beautiful and cute, and just gay rights. That's what it said. That's what I'm saying. It made me cry a lot. Just a warning. And now I also cannot look at peaches the same way. If you know, you know. Finally. Actually, no, not finally. That's a lie. The next subsection of this list is music, and I am very excited to share with you. Okay, so I'm going to open up my Spotify Wrapped. I'm also just going to list off all of the like artists slash the albums that I have on the list in case it's not on my Wrapped. One Direction was actually my number one played artist. They were my number one because I fell back into a One Direction like hole after listening to Harry Styles' Fine Line. And I listened to all of their albums just constantly throughout quarantine. This is going to be really annoying because I know that I'm going to have to keep switching between cameras. But that camera stopped for a bit, so I'm on my phone. And I know I'm going to have to go back to the camera because this is really not... It doesn't have no storage. We'll try and talk about this really quickly. So I was talking about One Direction, like every single One Direction album, multiple times. And then I listened to all the individual albums, like all their solo music that came out this year. So Walls by Louis Tomlinson, Heartbreak Weather by Niall Horan, and obviously Fine Line by Harry Styles. Harry Styles ended up being my like number 2 top artist of my Spotify Wrapped. My favorite line from Fine Line was Golden, and that was my number 1 song of the year on my Spotify Wrapped. And then I also listened to his self-titled album in its entirety for the first time in a while actually. And my favorite song from that was Two Ghosts and Kiwi because I have a soft spot for them. And for Heartbreak Weather, my favorite songs were Still and Black and White because they were so romantic and so beautiful. I also listened to his Flicker album for the first time in its entirety, and my favorite song from that was Paper Houses. And then with Louis' album Walls, my favorite songs were Always You and the title track actually. Walls was really, really good. I think Walls was the first song I heard from his album. I saw it on YouTube and then I saw like the video, and then it was like there was an homage to One Direction in it, and it was just so beautiful. I'm pretty sure it made me cry. And then I listened to the entirety of the album and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's not the same type of like stuff that I listen to normally. Like the genre is very different to what I usually listen to, but I still really enjoyed it. The next thing that I was listening to a lot was Taylor Swift because she released Folklore on One Direction's anniversary, their 10-year anniversary, when we thought that they were gonna get back together. Sad times. It was an absolute masterpiece. I absolutely loved Folklore so much. I am a big like Taylor Swift fan. Like I've always loved her music every time it came out. But Folklore, it changed the game. It was so beautiful. It sounded a lot like her old stuff, but the vibe and the sound that Folklore had, it was very reminiscent on her old stuff, which is where I fell in love with her, obviously. And I really liked it. So amazing. I think next on the list was Hamilton. When I initially watched it, so I watched it at night, and then that night I listened to it, the entirety of the soundtrack, and then the next day I listened to it again, and then every day for at least 2-3 weeks I was listening to the soundtrack at least once a day. Sometimes up to 3 times. And then Non-Stop ended up being my favorite song on the track, and then so did Satisfied and One Last Time. Those are just so good. So good. Some other like releases that I can remember off the top of my head are Calm by 5 Seconds of Summer. Just a masterpiece, truly. There was so much good music this year. My favorite songs were, or the songs that I kept going back to, was I think Lonely Heart and Lover of Mine, I think is well. And Red Desert. Red Desert was so good. I'm gonna quickly list off these artists and my favorite tracks because I've literally been talking for like an hour or something. Let's keep going. So I'm just gonna hold this up because my neck hurts. Next we have Lainey, which is actually one of my favorite bands ever. And they released a new album called Mama's Boy, and it was really good. And some of my favorite tracks from that is If This Is the Last Time and Paper, which are both super sad. I think the first time I listened to If This Is the Last Time, I started crying, and then I literally had to text my parents that I loved them because that song made me really emotional. Next, this is the most recent addition, or sort of, but Julian the Phantom soundtrack. As I mentioned before, I love the soundtrack of Julian the Phantom, so obviously it made it up to my top 10 or my top music list or whatever. Some of my favorite tracks on that have been, there's literally only 15 songs, but I'm like not even lying when I say that I love every single one of those songs so much. But Bright, Stand Tall, and Wake Up hold a very special place in my heart. I'm actually learning Bright on the piano, which is very hard, but I'm enjoying it a lot. I also have How I'm Feeling by Lauv, and Lauv is actually my #1 favorite artist ever. So I'm actually surprised that I didn't listen to him more this year. I was in such of a One Direction hole that I could not listen to anything else. How I'm Feeling though, it was a good album. Like I can say like it was a really good album. It's just I didn't feel a connection to it the way that I felt with his I Met You When I Was 18 like songs. But my favorites from that was Invisible Things, and I really liked Julia, and Lonely Eyes. So good. Beautiful songs. I've always loved this artist, but this year I really appreciated it, and that was Jeremy Zucker. And I don't know if he released, he released a new album. I think that's why I was listening to him so much. But the song that I really was fully immersed in this year was Supercuts. And then we also have Manic by Stop. Please, I have limited time. Okay, next was Manic by Halsey. I don't know if she released it in 2020. I'm pretty sure she might have released it late 2019, but I listened to it a lot in 2019, and one of my favorite songs was You Should Be Sad. But I still stand by that Badlands was her best music and her best era. Just saying. And then we have Positions by Ariana Grande. Of course, I love Ariana, I love her songs. Her vibe is kind of changing, but it's still really fun to just kind of dance along to and try to sing along to, even though I could never hit her notes, but I can always dream. But my favorite songs on that album is 34 plus 35, the title track, Positions, and Shut Up. And finally, on my music list, I have Love Goes by Sam Smith, which is his most recent album, and some of my favorite songs from that album are So Serious, the title track, and Forgive Myself. So beautiful. I love Sam Smith's music. They're amazing. Okay, finally, the last list is kind of just an overall things that I want to talk about that I just really loved this year. So another thing that I really discovered this year are podcasts. So I found this podcast on Instagram. They followed me on my account, and then they are basically a Percy Jackson podcast. Sorry, I just mind blank. They're a Percy Jackson podcast, and they're called Seaweed Brain Podcast. I have been talking about them non-stop on my fandom account, and I absolutely love them so much. And they just finished season 1, and they were basically rereading the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, my favorite series for those of you who don't know. And it was so amazing rereading it, and they were rereading it in the context of 2020 and all the parallels that they drew from our world, our real world, and our real problems and things to what was happening to Percy Jackson and the world and society and the environment and everything. It was just, I love it a lot. and I love them so much. So Erica and Carter, if you're watching this, shout out to you because I love you guys. Please let me be on your podcast. This is my official. This is me asking you guys very nicely to please let me be on your podcast for Heroes of Olympus. I will talk your ear off about House of Hades. Let me be on the House of Hades podcast, like episodes. Please. Okay, I'll stop. And the other podcast that I've been really enjoying is the Anything Goes podcast by Emma Chamberlain, because she's my favorite YouTuber. I love it. She's so like fun to listen to. Like her personality, I feel like I would get along with her genuinely so much if I knew her in person. I feel like we would vibe. Just like, please, Emma Chamberlain, be my friend. It's all I want in life. And then the other podcast that I was listening a lot to was the Extra Dynamic podcast by your mom Ashley on YouTube, and she usually is joined by her siblings, so the Alexander siblings, and they're really nice. I don't know why I'm holding my Opal card. I'll put that down. Their vibes are immaculate. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So podcast, big win. The next two things are a bit niche, but also not quite because the fandoms are actually quite huge. But Minecraft. I played it a lot when I was a kid. Yeah, just that information can sit on its own for a little bit. I really enjoyed it. I was on TikTok one day and I saw someone do something really cool on Minecraft. I saw who it was by, and it was by this guy named Dream. He was this green thingy with a smiley face. I clicked on the account. It linked me to a YouTube video. And then I was taken to a YouTube video, and then from there I have been led down a hole of screaming gamers, of bed wars, manhunts, speedrunning, everything. Like, and there's a lot there, but I am enjoying every second of it. And I was literally, as I was getting ready for filming this video, I was literally watching a Dream stream. He was playing Among Us today, and it was really good. I like hearing his voice. It makes my day. When I'm editing this and hearing this back, I'm just gonna be like, oh gosh, what is wrong with me? But the last thing that I also want to mention that I just been really enjoying watching is Among Us streams. Because, let's be real, I'm not very good at games because I'm simply not coordinated enough for them. And also because I have anxiety. So if I play with other people and they are actively trying to kill me, I will be freaking out because they will be expecting me not to die. So if I play Among Us, I will most probably have a panic attack. So I would rather just watch people die on Among Us. To preface, I want to make sure that I like watching people die on Among Us, not in real life. So, yeah. Some of my favorite streamers of Among Us have been Corpse, Dream, like the Dream Team, Sekuno. I haven't necessarily watched them, but I love having them in the videos, like Valkyrie and Toast. Toast is such a good imposter. Who let him be that good? He is probably a serial killer or something, but he's so good at what he does. Anyway, I have talked your ear off for goodness how long this video is gonna be, maybe like half an hour, but I hope you guys enjoy this video. Oh my goodness, I forgot to say, we hit 100 like subscribers. Hello, when did that happen? It happened several months ago, and I haven't been filming, so I haven't been able to address it. But we have like 120 followers, and not followers, subscribers. That's cool. Thanks. You helped me reach my New Year's resolution of 100 subs, and if this video goes up on time, then I will also be reaching my New Year's resolution of posting one video per month, which is cool. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna leave down the links to everywhere that you can find me, my last video, and all the fun stuff down below. But I hope you guys have a good... What's my outro? Whatever time you guys are watching this, it is nearly evening for me. It's 6:30. So have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, have a good night, and goodbye.